we'll understand how we can backup on-prem file servers. Small organizations might have like one file server or two file servers where user data is being kept or application data is being kept. And many organizations, we would see a shared folders, which we call them as in file servers. So people will use shared folders to share the files between the project teams, store their important data on the central shared folder. In case of laptop gets corrupt or something, the data can reside on the shared folders. Or organizations will use like a roaming profiles where store the user profile data in a centralized location. And could be other projects like in source code repositories like in Git, VSS, or kind of an SVN will store the files centrally and where the users will access these files, okay, for development purpose. There could be many cases. Maybe sometimes we will be storing the backups like in SQL backups or database backups or could be application backups in a shared folder, and we'll be using that shared folder as a backup copy. Then nowadays the most dangerous part is a ransomware virus. So what happens with the ransomware virus? It tries to encrypt all the files. Now there are shared folders, and slowly ransomware will encrypt all the files which exist in the shared folder. Now what happens? You don't have a backup. So when you don't have a backup, now you lost all the files which exist in the shared folders. So the Azure providing a simple option wherein we can backup the on-prem file server backup or data file server data to an Azure. So it's as easy like in that a small software which resides on the file server. So it doesn't consume any CPU resources or anything. So we can use Azure as a remote site backup or like a DR activity. Maybe you're taking a backup of your shared folder to another server within the same network. But what happens if a ransomware gets attacked? Your source files and backup files also get encrypted. Now you're left with no data. So to have another copy of the as a backup to a cloud or to another locations, so we can use cloud, because nowadays we see the cloud as a DR data centers, okay, or an offsite locations. So the Azure provides a simple software called as a Microsoft Azure Recovery Services agent. We call it as a Mars agent. So we can install this particular agent on all the servers which needs to be taken backup. Like if I have like in multiple servers in my on-prem data center or in my office or in my home, then I can simply install this particular tool on this particular device, and this device can copies the data and send it to the Azure Recovery Services world. So the good advantage of this one is we can schedule 3 times a day or one time a day or specific weeks of a day. So I want to back up only on a weekly basis, then we can do that. So based on the need to need basis, we can configure this one. So every day, 3 times a day, or uh, whatever we call it in daily ones, or weekly, like in specific days of a week, like in I want to back up only on Saturdays or Sundays, we can take a backup. And we can retain these backups for a period of 30 days like that. We can configure that how long we want these backups to be protected. Okay. And when we want to restore it, it's very simple to restore it. So this is my on-prem server, and I want to take the backup of this folder current profile. So let's go to the Azure Recovery Services Vault. Let me create a new vault. So let's go to the vault and click on backup. So here select on premises and select files and folders, prepare infrastructure. So it is going to provide you a link to install the Mars agent. So I'm just copying this link address. I'm going to the server. Let me paste here. It will download your file. So click on this file to install the agent. So I'm selecting the default folder path. If you want, you can change this one. So if there are any proxy servers within the network to access the internet, then we can specify the proxy servers. So in my case, there is no proxy servers. So I don't want to update it. So the Microsoft update can update this recovery services agent. So it is prompting for proceed to registration. Click on this one. So once we reach this vault credentials, go to the portal. Here we can see download vault credential. Just select this and click on download. Now copy this to the server. So these credentials helps the agent to authenticate with Azure and access the recovery services vault to perform the backup. You would ask for the passphrase. So basically Azure is going to encrypt the files and going to store in the Azure recovery services vault. So we can create our own passphrase or we can generate a passphrase, a dynamic one. And this is very much required whenever you want to restore the files to another server. For some reasons, this server got crashed. Now we want to restore the data to another server. So we need to have this passphrase available. Then only we can basically restore it. Okay. So we can store this in a queue vault or you can store that in a file. I just want to store that in a file. It is giving me a warning. So I'm just taking it and click on finish. Now it is going to register this server with Azure Recovery Services Vault. It's just giving you a warning, storing the passphrase locally because we need to protect this. Make sure that this passphrase is secured, copied into a different location. Because in future, if we lose this server and if we lose the passphrase, we cannot restore the data. So this is the screen of the Azure Mars agent. I'm just clicking on close and I'm reopening it. So as of now, we have not scheduled any backups. So we can click on schedule a backup. And we can select the items, whatever the ones which you want to take a backup. And exclusion settings, if you want to exclude some kind of a files, like, and I don't want to have .exe files, file types, I want to start .exe files. So I want to exclude certain kind of files, then you can add it. So we can schedule daily three times. If there are files getting changed frequently, then we can select it 3 times a day and we can specify the times. But if it's not that critical, then we can go for daily ones, or we can, on a selected days, we can schedule it. I'm selecting as of now daily ones. How long you want to retain these backups? Weekly backups, monthly backups, and yearly backups. I don't want it. And daily backups, how long you want to store them. For basic fundamentals, so you can watch the other video like in backup and recovery fundamentals video to understand the retention policies. So now we have this backup scheduled. Now, as of now, we can see last backup is not done. At next backup, it has been scheduled on 11 at 5 p.m. And there are no recovery points because the backup has not happened. Now I'm just clicking on a backup now, just to have the backup. So the backup is completed now. So we see that here now the last backup has been performed here. And the next backup has been one recovery point available. Let's go to the portal. Let's go to the recovery services vault and go to the backup items. So here we can see Azure Backup Agent 1. So click on this one. Here we can see that protected server VM1 and the C drive. When was the last it has been backup, and you can have some further details of it. So how many recovery points are available, when was the backup happened last, and everything. And it gives you that the list of all the backups which are available here. So we can monitor from here. So I'm going to the inside the virtual machine, the basically. Let me close this. Now I have the backups available. Let me go ahead and delete this data. So I want to restore it. Now click on Azure, Microsoft Azure Backup. So click on Recover Data. So this server, do you want to restore to this server or another server? An agent should be installed. I'm selecting this server, the region. Now, do you want to select the individual files and folders or the entire volume? So because I'm selecting the entire. the individual files and folders. If you have selected multiple drives for the backup, then it shows you all the drives. But here in this case, we have selected only the C drive. And the recovery point, from which backup you want to restore it. So as of now, we have only one backup available. So it is showing me one backup and one time. If there are multiple dates backups available and multiple times available on a given a day, if three backups are available, then it shows you three restore points. So I'm just selecting this and click on mount. So it is going to mount the drive from which we can copy the files into the actual location. Now we would see that F drive. So a new drive got mounted. When I go to this PC, we can see there is an F drive. So from this one, we can copy the files. So now I see that my files are available, which are being taken backup. Now I can go and copy it to my location where I want it. I can choose the entire folders, or if you want to restore a specific file, then you can go to the restore mounted drive, and from there we can restore it. So this is how you can use the on-prem files of a backup and restore process using the Mars agent. But it's very useful for small organizations, large organizations, because with the current risk of the ransomware. So once we complete the restoration, then we can click on unmount. It is going to disconnect the drive. Yeah, now, if I go to the drive, I will not see the restoration disk.